Well, howdy, howdy, howdy. Nearly senior citizen here. Greetings, boys, girls, and all of our non-binary friends, and welcome to this, a brand new day. And remember, no matter who you are valid. It is going to be in the mid-90s today. So, I went walkies not early, around 10-ish, and it was hot. And I slather up in a sunscreen lotion, so it was... I'm tanning in the parts that hit me the sun anyway, but I'm hopefully burning slower. But I went out walkies. I plan on going walkies again, maybe 9 o'clock. I think I went 9 or 10-ish or so last night, so I'll do that again. So thumbs up for that. Very, very thumbs uppy. Oh, I can speak English, I promise you. Oh, itchy ear. But some of the things that I wanted to talk about today are some of the things that I've been talking about for pretty excessive amounts the past week. I am hyperfixated. I am info dumping. So I am still continuing to talk about the group. I had to remember. It was like, what was this thing? And came up with a total blank. But the group Electric Callboy. Because I watched some more videos on them. There's some information I don't want to go out and get. I mean, I am very close to reaching my saturation point. And under normal circumstances, a quote-unquote normal person, somebody who's in the probability curve of normal, you keep getting information about something, you keep getting information, at some point you hit that saturation point, and then interest drops off. A lot sharper than it came up. In fact, it's more like comes up, well actually, reverse that. It'll go like this, and then down in a more shallow curve. But a lot of neurodiverse people have a much, much smaller cone. We go like this. So everyone else's interest is still peaking, but I'm well over it. It's not something I choose, it's to do. I'd love to be interested in some things, but my saturation point has been reached and I don't have a choice. It's just I don't care about it anymore. And that happens with everything. My saturation point gets reached and then I taper back down. I haven't reached that point with Electric Callboy yet. And I talk about it a lot because that's another neurodiverse trait. Info dumping. Just you find someone, whether they're interested or not, that you can just boom, dump all your info. So, but with Electric Callboy, I talked about how they had done like a pivot shift when they got their new lead singer. And it's like, yes, that's exactly what happened. Because I had mentioned how they've been around since like 2010. They started when they were teenagers. And at one point they had to replace, like, I can't remember who it was now, but, and then they replaced them and that wasn't an issue. In like 2019, the lead singer went on to go form their own projects. And that is when everything made a big change. As much as there was amicable partings, apparently, I mean, there were no big clashes, there were no, I quit because this and I hate these people. As amicable as all was, they did talk about, once the lead singer was gone, it was like a big weight had been lifted off everybody's back. Because the lead singer was like a handful of sand in the cogs in the creative function. And once they were removed from the cogs, everyone found out that it was easy and fun again. And then to replace the lead singer, they had an internet competition. And Nico Selleck was one of those people that applied. And won, yeah. And so they've been having a great time. But yeah, they started off as teenagers, and they've lost 2 of the main group people, but they're in there. It's 10 years later in some. So, yeah. And their fans would have been happy with them if they had kept the name Eskimo Callboy. Their fans would have been happy with them had they kept their questionable stuff online. But when they got rid of the lead singer, they did not get rid of the lead singer. When the lead singer quit to go on and form his own project, they took a look at their entire body of stuff and started deleting stuff that was questionable, the stuff that was edgy for the sake of being edgy because they were teenagers when they started. And they didn't feel comfortable having that edgy for the sake of being edgy stuff. None of it was mean-spirited, but it was edgy for the sake of being edgy. And they didn't like that. And then they changed the name for the same reason. They didn't like that. It is very likely they did not know that it can be a slur, an offensive term, when they picked it. They're German. They come from a small town in Germany. So, it's possible. I mean, just because you're German doesn't mean you're not going to know about things in the world, but that's another country, another part far away. I'm not trying to say that they were ignorant savages that live in grass tents, in Germany and have no electricity or anything. That's not what I was trying to get across. Not that. But they weren't happy with that. And in fact, on their tours now, they have messages of positivity to open up each one of their concerts. So yeah, when the lead singer quit and they got their new lead singer, they made a 180 pivot. And nobody asked them to. They just did it on their own because they did not feel comfortable with who they had been and were in this new time. And just, generally getting more mature and not being happy with that. So I think that's good. So I wanted to talk about that. Also, I have two things written down on the side of this note that I'd written a lot of this down on. One of them is they're very formulaic. There is a definite formula to the music. I mean, because they'll start off kind of poppy techno and then go off into the death metal and then back to pop, and then they bounce back and forth. And then there's at like the halfway point is when, if you go by the book without the art and spirit of stuff, it's like, oh, you should introduce at this at this point. And if you listen to their songs, that's what happens. And then at this point, you should be doing this. It happens then. So they're following a formula almost to a T. But it's the way they follow the formula that's awesome. And I really like watching reaction videos now for a lot of their music, because the first time reactions of people are awesome. Nobody is prepared for Electric Callboy. There is no way to be prepared. So it's thumbs up to watch it. The absolute, so many times these are people that start off they hate how it's beginning. They can't stand it. They think it's just a joke. They're being trolled. And then it breaks into the hard death metal part. And you see the shock. And by the end of it, they're wanting more. So they're fun to watch. Definitely a good thing. So past that, the only thing I wanted to say is on their one song, Hypa Hypa, they are good enough that in that song alone, way back in the 1980s, and I don't know if I mentioned this before, I had bought an album by the artist Aldo Nova. Aldo Nova has a YouTube channel, and I don't know if they still do things, but they were producing videos for the YouTube channel as well as still making music today. And from the song Hypa Hypa, which came out in like 2022 or 21 or something like that, there was part of it that sounds so much like an Aldo Nova song. It's incredible. they're good, more than good. And so glazing session over now. Because there is two last things sort of that I wanted to talk about, because it reminded me talking about reaction stuff, and that reminded me when I wrote this down. I'm one of these people that if I mean, like I say, I've mentioned I like to watch a couple of reaction channels about music stuff, and how, you know, just when I'm doing stuff on the home page, if it comes up with an interesting reaction, I will pop it up and listen to it and watch the person. If they're reacting to a studio release, I will listen. But if it's a live release, I can't listen to those. I do not like live releases. Because, just like why I don't like taking pictures, because when you look at a sunset, you have ultra high definition, widescreen, takes up your entire world view picture of a sunset. But when you take a picture, the entirety of everything you've seen is now in this little, like, if it's on your phone, maybe 4-inch diagonal screen, and that doesn't have the full range of colors that your eyes have, and it's tiny. There's no way that it can capture what is really there. And the same thing for me for the live recordings that get released. A lot of what makes a live performance good is being there, because the sound is not going to be as good. The equipment is far away, and it's not the best hearing thing, and you've got a million people around you either coughing or stomping their feet or making various biological noises all around you. But that's part of it, and in the end, it's frickin' awesome. And when you listen to that on a studio album, you get nothing but the terrible sound. I don't enjoy that. If I had been there, that would be one thing. It would trigger all those memories of the sights and sounds and smells. But past that, there's none of it, so I don't care. It's just a very poor recording quality sound release of something that sounds better, that sounds worse than a studio release. So, unless, again, I've been there, but I can understand why someone who'd been there would want to listen to that. But for everybody else, you're listening to something that's not going to have the energy and not going to sound as good. But that's just me. I'm not saying you shouldn't. If you like and listen to these things, then that's great. But that's why this neurodiverse brain can't handle it. And if I don't like something, that don't mean that it's bad. That only means that I don't like it. And my opinion, what is my opinion worth? Should my opinion sway your opinion on anything at all, ever? No. No. In fact, nobody's opinion should sway yours. You know, don't let them sway your opinion without your consent. But in my particular case, and in anybody else's there, my opinion is just my opinion. It ain't worth anything more than anyone else's. In fact, it's worth a lot less than a lot of people's. So, just my opinion. Thumbs up on that. The only other thing I have written down here is, oh yeah, I've been trying an experiment with tea. Part of it was accidental, because I've gotten some like fireside vanilla, you know, tea flavors and such like that, or, you know, well, that's all I can really remember is the fireside vanilla. But there's others that are just nice flavors, and I thought they were just nice flavors. Now this tea is called Tension Tamer, and it has, as like its fourth ingredient, chamomile. Chamomile is a natural sedative. It can help you go to sleep, and if you're really tired, it can knock you over the edge. Looking at all these other teas that I drank and I thought were fine, they've got chamomile sometimes as the first ingredient, which means there's a lot of it in there. And chamomile can put you to sleep. So what I've been doing, because my blood pressure has been so high lately, is, even though I'm drinking a whole lot less caffeine, not drinking, but taking a whole lot less caffeine than I ever have before, I am still, if I have 2 cups of caffeinated tea, because I drink 3 cups of tea at a time, if 2 of those are caffeinated, I will take a cup of tension tamer with chamomile, a natural sedative, to counteract the caffeine. Not so much counteract, but to help ameliorate the effects of caffeine. And ameliorate is, of course, me just using big frickin' words. I use big frickin' words all the time. It makes the symptoms less of caffeine. And wow, God, whatever. I went and distracted myself on that one. Sorry, derailed my own brain. I pulled the wool over my own eyes, which I'm not going to get sidetracked. I love ADHD. I cannot wait for my Wellbutrin to finally kick in and give me some relief from my ADHD. Yay. But anyway, though, there's a lot of chamomile that I've been drinking without realizing it. And so I have been trying to do it on purpose, is the big rundown of what I've been doing. So on that. So yay on there. Thumbs up. So what I've been thinking of doing, instead of just the way I've, on the whole GoFundMe front, right now I just sort of have a vague goal with, I need to help getting a computer. I need to help trying to locate a system to try and say this is what I want, instead of just a vague this is what I'm shooting for. If I can point at something and go, this is what I am trying to get my money for, the money for, donations for, I can speak English, I promise. If I had something that I could point to and say, this is what I am attempting to get donations for, I think that would be a little better than the amorphous, I'm trying to get something together for. On the other hand, I don't yet know what's good, bad, or indifferent, especially since, to make things more confusing, I do watch this one tech channel. The guy's name is David, but it's D-A-W-I-D. I think he's German. But he ordered a computer from Temu for like $500. And he was prepared to go, this is the worst thing ever. And when he was done, he went, I'm confused. This isn't bad. Not great. The number of cores in it was bad. I figure now that's probably the issue on that. The hardware is good on the laptop that I have, but there are 2 cores, and that's it. And the previous computer that I had before everything broke down, there were 8 computer cores and 8 graphical cores, and the laptop before that still works, but the hardware is breaking down, and I don't even plug it in because it doesn't go online. So why? That still had a bunch of cores. That's got 2, so it's fine, it's good. But for the stuff that I need it for, oh boy, those cores don't do it. So I think if I had something to point at, does that make sense? Is that a good idea? And if it is a good idea, if you could write best chili in the comments so that both I and the YouTube algorithm know that you have watched this video this far, that would be very cool. Thank you so much. And I'm hoping that I'm not asking for too much. I mean, I know I am. Nobody owes me anything. And there are a lot of people out there that have it a whole lot worse. And so I know nobody owes me anything. I'm just hoping. I mean, it's hard in today's world. So if you can, that'd be awesome. I have my link to the GoFundMe down below. Me begging over. Even though I dislike boomers, I have some of the earlier boomer stuff, because it's okay to ask for help. It really, really is. The new age is becoming a lot more mean, where it's just harder to ask for help, and so people are afraid to, and it's just becoming a big bad thing. It's okay to ask for help, honestly and for real, for no matter what. I don't mean monetarily. I mean, if you're struggling with your mental health, ask for help. If you're struggling to feed yourself, ask for help. It's better than just suffering. So please ask for help. There are places out there that can and will help. So thumbs up on that. I have still been thinking about creative stuff. Earlier today, I was trying to figure out if there was a way that I could think about how to make a big video series about my creative setting, because I was thinking about the thing called the Ungata today, the void, because it is, after all, a theistic, philosophic, and physical void that surrounds each and every multiverse, that even though it is infinite in, well, size is wrong, and so is volume, because it's nothing. But if you can take a step out of our frame of reference and take a look at all of existence being frequencies, if you step up in frequency, you're stepping into a same reality, just one step up more. Functional equivalent of our entire electromagnetic frequency being the functional equivalent of the next layers up, or next levels up, visible light spectrum, and they've got so much more. And then there's infinite progression in that you can go one tick up in frequency, and the previous electromagnetic spectrum is the functional equivalent of the current visible light spectrum. And there's infinite recursion or regression, and that you click down one and it's the functional equivalent of our visible light spectrum is the entire electromagnetic spectrum of that just down below. Metaphor, not exact. So if you can step out of that frame of reference, what is infinite to us in the frame is, if you take a look at the Ungata, its negative volume, but to look at it so that human eyes and brains can understand it as a volume of space, this is a very tiny volume of space that is being worked with. And these spaces are also not just an infinite thing. It's like a blobby shape inside of an area that's filled with other larger, weirder things. But within that slice of reference that you come back down to, like where we are, and yeah, you're surrounded by infinite void. There is no other side. It is infinite in size, but that's all just in reference to the frame of reference you're in. And another way to put that, now, a one-dimensional object casts no shadow. A two-dimensional object will cast a one-dimensional shadow. A three-dimensional object, as we are, casts a two-dimensional shadow. A four-dimensional object casts a three-dimensional shadow. For a two-dimensional creature, we can't be in a two-dimensional frame. We are three-dimensional, so we have to be outside of that frame of reference. If you poked your finger into a two-dimensional frame, you are not poking your finger into that. It would just be a circle that grows in size as your finger goes in there, stays moderately uniform, and if you bring it back out, it just goes, and it's just a circle. Fourth-dimensional creatures that push their fingers into a three-dimensional space would form a sphere, like a beach ball. That's all we would be able to see of the fourth-dimensional creature that does so. You have to step out of the frame of reference to be able to see that. So thumbs up. And if you're a Patreon patron, thumbs up and thank you. You're a beautiful and awesome people. Without your help, life would be so much more difficult. greatly, greatly appreciate it. For each and every person that leaves me a comment, I read each and every one. I appreciate them all. I answer as many as I can. So thumbs up and thank you. It is appreciated to no end. I'm going to edit this, render, upload, and then later on go for walkies. I hope your day is beautiful and awesome. As beautiful and awesome as it can possibly be. That would be a very good thing. So, until we meet again, you take care. Have a great day today. I will see you on the flip side, and that is indeed a very good thing. I hope today felt much more positive in tone, because I have been way too much of a Debbie Downer for too long. I don't like it. Part of it is meds, part of it is my situation, but I want to be more positive, so I'm trying to be more positive. Hopefully it came through. You take care. Have a great day.